How's ISO treating y'all?
Well, I'm working from home now, so that's why I'm recording out here in the kitchen.
That's good, right?
Yeah,
Better,
I don't have
better.
to commute.
And wear that fucking mask all day, every day.
Exactly. Oh my god. Don't have to commute. Well, by commute, I mean like spend $30 a day on Ubers. Don't have to.
Well, it makes a difference.
And also, I get to just wake up like 10 minutes before my shift, and I'm like...
That's ideal.
And also, in between calls, I can just be on my laptop or like my phone or something. I don't have to be in an office just
It's almost like
staring.
the office was a bad idea to begin with.
Yeah.
Just
Seems
in general,
like
the
maybe
concept of an office was...
the concept of a 9-to-5, 5-day work week.
Maybe if you're like
actually.
Bill Clinton and there's like hotties to
like assault.
Assault.
Where are you going with this?
I mean,
It's
like,
not a good color on you.
Who's the office made for is my question. And that's sort of the first place my mind went. People who benefit from the
I
office
don't know,
as
like a straight white man, bro.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I would love to abolish that 9-to-5, 5-day work week.
I think
say
about
as I
Bill
work
Clinton a
5
lot,
days a week.
actually.
Why?
He was the president when I was growing up in the States, I guess.
Yeah, and he was cool. He had like the...
Yeah, the
he had the
saxophone,
sax.
exactly.
Yeah.
And he was a Democrat, wasn't he? I think he was.
Yeah, he was.
He I don't
And
know.
he was like the
we
cool
were, like,
president. He was
grown-ups told
relatable.
us that the Democrats were the ones that liked kids in school, and we were like, we're kids in school. We had like a fake little vote in primary school when it was the Al Gore Bush election, and all of the kids voted for Al
Who did you
Gore.
vote for?
And we were just so shattered when Bush won. It was like, that's not who we
like,
voted for.
It's almost like no one was listening to a bunch of 8-year-olds.
With our little fake color and voting ballots.
You know what I really like in America? When they vote, they get the little sticker, the I
Yeah.
voted sticker.
Well, when I went, like, not related, but also related, when I went and got my vaccinations as a kid, I also got stickers.
Oh yeah, you get like
Yeah.
the booster stickers.
Yeah.
You get like a little book and then you fill it up with stickers.
Oh, I just
Of,
put
like,
them
a
on my little sweater because it would have like a picture of a tiger with a baseball cap, and it would be like, I was brave.
We should get you those.
I would love some more of those. They were like proper stickers too. They were like the size of a party pie.
Okay, so speaking of crime, this week on Illiterature.
Illiterature starring Sam on the mic.
And Sandy on the other mic. Alana on the mute. She's just doing Auslan.
It's 95% facial expression.
Yeah, remember the that hot Auslan guy?
The
With
hot
all the
Auslan
memes
guy?
about him?
Which one? They're all hot.
It's usually old ladies. I don't...
Yeah, you
whenever
saying old ladies
Danders
can't be hot,
talks.
Sam? You discriminatory.
Yeah, I don't want to fuck an old lady, alright? I don't know about you, but I don't want to fuck an old lady. Are you disappointed? Did you have something planned for us in the future?
We're still here.
This shouldn't be in the podcast, but literally when came over on the weekend, my vagina is just numb. Like, it's
wow, he just put it to sleep.
Received a pounding, yeah, just like
Dick's so good
NyQuil.
it's NyQuil. There you go.
Oh.
Well, I'm glad you have that to get you through
Thank you
this
so
trying
much.
time.
Yeah, I know, right? I am glad that I have that.
And you also
get
have
me.
In Cold
What else
Blood
I
by
have?
Truman Capote, published in 1966.
Nice
Now that I
segue.
made that segue, you have to keep the bit about it. So, In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. You know Truman Capote. You read Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah, bro, I read some Brex at Tiff's.
He was like a
Trying
hugely famous, popular, one of the first real, I don't know, I'm talking out of my ass, but like a real celebrity writer of his day.
Why?
Like
What was he so
he's
cool?
not only publishing books, but he's also in the tabloids, kind of thing. We don't
Was
really
he
have that so much more.
sexy?
I was thinking about it today. I think the only equivalent would be like J.K. Rowling and maybe Stephen King.
Is Truman Capote like trans exclusionary as well? Well, probably, but
Maybe he's generally accepted to have been gay. Very, very gay. He had like a life partner. I think his name is Jack something. He was also a writer, but obviously not as famous. I'm just gonna Google him quickly because I didn't actually look up a biography or anything of him. I just absorbed what I could through the Philip Seymour Hoffman movie, which is really good and you should all see.
What's it called? Capote?
It's called Capote.
Oh, bro. Oh, my neck feels cold now that
Partners. His name was Jack Dunphy, an American novelist and playwright, partner of Truman Capote.
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 All right, so all I know about In Cold Blood.
In True Blood.
The vampire.
Okay.
What a sexy
Fuck
book.
off. Amazing.
You're 13 and grounded, and I'm like 13 and still thinking about vampires and like MCR and stuff.
And this is us passing notes in English class. Oh, that's cute. I like that.
Why wouldn't you be in my grade? Would you held down a year? Maybe I went up a year.
Yeah, hey, don't talk yourself down. Maybe you were super smart and got put up.
I was super smart. Why do you think I'm such a sad adult? When you're a smart kid, you're usually a sad adult.
It's true. It's true.
When you're a stupid kid, you're
Oh, Alana just put
No,
it
you
herself.
weren't. You were precocious and a nerd.
Mm.
You were scared of upsetting your old parents. Yeah, I'm coming for you. Your mouth
Alana's
full of
13 and
tenders.
grounded as well.
As if she'd ever get grounded. She'd just start crying. They're like, Alana. And she's like, oh,
She's nodding. She's agreed.
That's exactly what would happen.
Big famous
Crime.
author. I think this was his last published book. I'm pretty sure.
What happened
his
to
last
him?
finished book. And I'm pretty sure it was. Let me just double check this to make sure.
Oh my god.
The
Do you
follow-up
check anything?
to Breakfast at Tiffany's.
So like a sequel?
No, but his shut
my
the fuck
goodness.
up.
I can't.
It was
It's
his
a
last
podcast.
finished book after, and it was the book he wrote after Breakfast at Tiffany's. So he's at the height of his fame right now as well. And this
Did he
is
die?
like,
What
this
happened?
is going to be my magnum opus, and this is going to change literature forever. I'm going to invent a genre.
Why didn't he write another one then?
I think he died or something.
He died or something. Okay. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, years following Cold Blood. So if it's published in, when did I say it was published in?
61.
66.
5 years plus.
Oh, he went to rehab for alcoholism and then he eventually, cocked it in the 80s. But this was his book, his magnum opus. He said it would change the way novels were conceived of, the way people wrote. And it was one of the first books to pioneer a genre termed the non-fiction novel. So similarly to how we talked about Maya Angelou's biography, I would say that's like a non-fiction novel. It's a non-fiction events written in the style of a novel with dialogue, with chapters, scenes, kind of thing.
But it's like based on true events.
Everything in it, according to Truman Capote, we'll get into that more later. Everything in it is supposed to have happened exactly as he wrote it down. So he's trying to marry.
He's a little sleuth, okay.
Yeah, he's trying to marry journalism and novel writing. So, and it's also true crime.
Does this have anything to do with that very ominous message you sent me when you were like, the scariest killers are the ones that kill all their families? Just out of nowhere, like
I said the most interesting killer is the family annihilator, and no, it's actually different.
Okay.
Something else that I was reading about.
I was having a very calm night, and then I just saw that, and then I was like, don't want to get into that.
No one wanted to talk to me about it.
No one ever wants to talk about that.
This is, don't ignore people. That's how bad things end up happening. Just saying.
That sounds like a threat.
So, part 1 of Truman Capote's last completed book, In Cold Blood.
How many parts is this?
Titled, there's 4, and it's called The Last to See Them Alive. And it does exactly what it says on the label. We're going to learn about the last people to see them alive. In case you were wondering. We start off with a description of the small town of Holcomb, deep in the high plains of western Kansas. A place, according to Truman Capote, that other Kansans call, quote, out there. We're isolated. We're in the country.
Okay.
Well,
I was like, are they flamboyant or are they just distant?
They're a bit out there.
Yeah, like what?
A well-to-do farmer named Herbert Clutter eats an apple and a glass of milk for breakfast. David ate an apple for breakfast the other day, and I told him, that was what this person in the book I'm reading did right before he got shot in the head.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Did you shoot David in the head?
No, he's fine.
David?
I'm fine.
He's just like his arm out, just like in like Toy Story.
Herbert Clutter's farm is named River Valley, and he sets out greeting one of his hard hands as he goes about his workday. We learn that it will be the last of his life. On the other side of the state, a man in his late 20s named Perry Smith has a breakfast of aspirin and cigarettes. Sam just chuckled. She relates. He is half Cherokee and half Irish American. A friend of his from his time in prison comes to pick him up. Back at the Clutter house, 16-year-old Nancy, the daughter of Herb, is awoken by a phone call. A local girl, a few years younger than her, wants to come over to learn from Nancy how to make cherry pies.
Oh.
Yeah, it's cute, isn't it?
Nancy's gonna die.
Yeah, she's gonna die. Nancy's pies have won awards at the local fair. She's great. Nancy, it is told, as if from a friend recollecting her life, was always very organized. And she rearranges her very busy schedule to make time for the girl.
Just send her a fucking recipe. What is happening?
No, she's gonna teach her. I don't know. It's the 60s. They don't even have fax machines or whatever.
They had post.
Yeah, they did. Not much, though, out in rural Kansas. She is sort of portrayed as this perfect American sweetheart. She takes a phone call from her friend Susan and tells Susan about her date with Bobby Rupp the previous night.
Oh my god, is he the quarterback?
They're all farmers. I don't know if they...
Is he the quarterback of the farm?
Yeah. And she tells Susan how Herb, her father, wants her to break off the relationship. As the two families are from different sects of Christianity. I think like Methodist and Baptist or something. So they're never going to be allowed to get married. So maybe she should start winding the relationship down. But I know dads are mean. But she really likes Bobby.
Did you write that down? Dads are mean.
No, that was an ad lib. That was off the cuff.
Wow.
This came from the heart. But she really likes Bobby, so it's a point of tension between them, between her and her dad.
Where's the mom?
Well, I'll tell you. But Nancy also mentions that she seems to have been smelling cigarette smoke around the house lately, and that her father seems more worried than normal, which is extra strange because Bonnie, her mother, his wife, though long plagued by mental illness, has been getting better lately. So why would he be, extra stressed out? Bonnie, I didn't write it down, but Bonnie had post and prenatal depression really bad with each of her 4 children. And after the last kid, it kind of never went away. So she's sort of in bed half the day. Being a housewife in the late 50s, it's like a recipe for depression, even if you didn't have chemical issues going on.
A recipe for depression.
Well, it is. There was a fucking Valium epidemic among the housewives of America in the 50s. It's not the ideal life. But yeah, so that's Bonnie. But she's been getting better lately. She heard from a surgeon that her depression might be coming actually from a neck complaint that would be fixable with surgery. There might be some kind of nerve situation. And she chooses to believe that that's the case, and that makes her excited because it means that it's curable.
That's good.
And so Truman says almost like in rehearsal for when she's fixed, she's already getting better and is more energetic and is, got a new lease on life, sort of. So why is...
Time to die.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So, but why is the dad stressed out? What's going on there? Cutting back to Perry and Dick, the 2 young hoodlums.
Okay.
Dick is driving a black Cadillac. I know, nice. He and Perry... Did you just Heimlich maneuver yourself, Alana? I don't think that's going to work.
It could, actually. I've done that to myself to get a burp
You
out.
shouldn't, because that's how you break ribs. The Heimlich maneuver has never been proven in a...
I haven't been hitting my ribs. And if anything's sticking into my lung, it sure is not my rib. Just like rip them.
Well, then it's not the Heimlich maneuver, is it? You silly goose.
I'm just burping myself like a baby. That's how you burp babies. You punch them in the stomach. Yeah. Burp, you son of a bitch.
Sam's open for babysitting.
Yep.
He and Perry take it to the mechanic repair shop where Dick works for a tune-up, preparing for a long drive. Where are they going?
I don't know. You're going to tell me. Stop asking me.
Nancy finishes teaching Jolene Katz how to bake cherry pies. She has to leave to attend another errand. She's, a woman about town. She's got lots to do. So Bonnie waits with Jolene for Jolene's mother to come pick her up. She shows Jolene a collection of miniatures she has, wherein she finds joy and relief from her depression. She gifts Jolene a miniature fan.
How small are we talking?
I'm imagining, like, matchbox sized. When Jolene leaves, Bonnie goes back to bed feeling very depressed. So.
Oh, no.
Perry and Dick, meanwhile, are getting cleaned up for the drive. So Dick is athletic and strong. Perry has a muscular upper body, but his legs were badly damaged in a motorcycle accident. And they're quite small, and they give him a lot of pain. Hence the aspirin addiction. They're both tattooed. Dick has a lot of basic sort of stick and pokes with, like, there's a skull and, like, a love heart with a girl's name in it, or, like, mom or something. Perry has fewer tattoos, but his are nicer and more detailed. I think we hear that he got them in Hawaii. They're a bit fancier.
He has tribal ones.
Yeah. So, as they drive across the state, they stop to buy rubber gloves and a rope. Perry suggests
never good.
Getting some black stockings to wear over their heads to disguise their identities.
Oh, no.
I haven't even told you they're planning a crime yet, so they may as well just be going to the cinema. That would be funny.
Why would you bring rope, gloves, and black stockings to the cinema?
For,
Don't. Just keep going.
Okay.
Don't do anything.
Don't
I'm
improv.
Tense. Don't improv. Just prov.
Dick brushes the idea off, saying, no witnesses.
Oh, no.
The youngest clutter boy, whose name is Kenyon, a boy of 15, is in the basement room that he and his sister converted into a kid's clubhouse sort of thing, and a workshop. She, like, cross-stitched a bunch of pillowcases for it, and he sort of set up all the furniture and stuff.
I'm gonna die in there.
Yeah, well. He's working down there on a hope chest for one of the older sisters who's left home already and is about to get married. He loves cars and tinkering and stuff, but he isn't super into girls yet. He and his best friend sometimes go out in his old car, which he's named the Coyote Wagon, because they love to use it to chase after and scare coyotes, among other teen boy things. His best friend, though, recently has gotten into girls, which is a bit of a bummer. For Kenyon. Kenyon goes outside and talks to Mr. Helms, the husband of the Clutter's housekeeper, who I assume is named Mrs. Helms.
How do you spell his name?
Kenyon. Kenyon.
Alright.
I actually know someone called Kenyon. I thought it was like he was the only one, and then I read this. So I'm going to tell him next time I see him. I'm like, the only other person I've ever heard of with your name got shot in the face.
Where are you meeting other people? You know, what? Where did you meet this person?
This was before lockdown, I promise. He's a swordcraft guy. He likes shooting arrows.
No, not because it's lockdown. I'm just like...
Oh, because I'm not allowed to have other friends?
Other friends? Who's they? Who they are? Who they is? Swordcraft. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's fine.
Not threatened.
They both know. So Kenyon and this groundskeeper guy, Mr. Helms, both note that an insurance salesman is visiting Mr. Herb Clutter.
Oh, no.
It's a life insurance plan. Herb is thoughtful and somber, as most people tend to be when buying life insurance, the agent says later. The agent leaves with the first payment in his pocket. Oh. Yeah.
Who is it again? Who is it for? Like the mom? Bonnie? Do we know?
For all the family.
Who was it taken? Okay.
Dick and Perry have stopped at a convent to try and convince the nuns to sell them some black stockings. Perry sends Dick inside to try to get them, and when he comes out empty-handed, Perry thinks he probably didn't even ask. Apparently Dick has a problem with nuns, so Perry thinks he's, like, chickened out. He's like, you didn't even ask them, did you? And Dick's like, what? Dick always
he's just, like, chomping on, like, a wafer. He's
genuinely,
just like,
Dick always calls Perry, like, honey. He's like, how's it going, honey? Very, like...
Don't make me like them. I don't know what's going on. I'm afraid.
Charming Southern boy. Perry remembers the real reason he came to Kansas, which is a violation of the terms of his parole, by the way. Both of their parole, I'm pretty sure. To hook up with Dick, sure, but more importantly, to meet up with another guy he knew called Willie J., who was a religious mentor to him from his time in prison, who he's heard is being released. When he was, like, sort of hanging with Willie J. in prison, Willie J. inspired him, and he painted this huge portrait of Jesus that's now, like, hanging in the warden's office or something, because it was quite good. And yeah, he got Perry, who's naturally kind of, like, atheistic, to kind of get into religion a bit more, because Willie J. is just this really charismatic kind of guy, who kind of took Perry under his wing. But unfortunately, it ships in the night, and he just misses Willie J. He's already left by the time Perry gets there, so he decides to stick with Dick. You see, Dick has heard about a big score somewhere in Holcomb. Dick drives, and Perry plays songs on his guitar. He had a dream about becoming a famous singer and playing for big crowds in Las Vegas. They share orange and vodka, basically a screwdriver, but they call it another name, which I forget what it is.
What is it?
Something girly.
God damn it, you can't say they call it another name, then not tell me the name.
I forget. The thing I was going off here, the notes I was going off here weren't very detailed, so most of the details I'm giving you are just for memory, so I might get it a little bit wrong. Great. But it's something like an orange blossom or something girly like that. That's what they call it. The following Monday, Bobby Rupp describes his last night, which was the Saturday night, with the Clutters to the police. He went over and watched TV with the family. It was a nice, quiet night. He left at 11. Dick and Perry have a steak dinner. Perry wants to tell Dick about a recurring dream he's had that a giant yellow parrot-like bird comes and rescues him. But Dick ignores him. Dick's a very practical, man's a man kind of guy. He doesn't really get the romantic, thoughtful side of Perry.
Perry's the one with the botched legs, right?
Yeah,
and he
in the
aspirin and
motorcycle.
cigarettes guy.
Yeah, motorcycle accident. So they're moving on to Garden City, the nearest big city to Holcomb, was the impression that I got. There they buy some gas, and Perry's legs are causing him great pain. He spends a long enough time in the bathroom trying to stand up again that the attendant actually notices, and Dick recalls that he thought that it meant Perry was having second thoughts about the endeavor that they were about to embark upon. Nancy Clutter, meanwhile, in her pretty white, pink, and blue bedroom, makes an entry in her diary. She's fastidious about keeping it. She describes Bobby's visit and the TV watching. Mostly her diary is short, matter-of-fact descriptions of her day, although some pages contain emotional outbursts. One of them says something like, I love him, you know, talking about Bobby and you know, her father.
How old is she?
16.
Okay.
She puts her pen down and lays out her dress for church the next day. It's the prettiest one she owns, and she made it herself. It's red velvet. Dick and Perry pull up to the Clutter home.
Why? No. What city is the Clutter home in? Is this
It's
Havisham?
It's a little town called Holcomb in Western Kansas.
Holcomb, Havisham. Who am I thinking of? Is that some
Havisham was from The Great Expectations, Charles Dickens. That was the name of the jilted bride.
Yeah, it was. Season 1.
Listen to it. The next morning, a schoolmate of Nancy Clutter, also called Nancy, but her last name is Ewalt, comes to the house the next morning. No one answers the door, so she and her father go ask Susan Kidwell, Nancy's best friend, and I think neighbor, if she knows what's going on. The three of them approach the house together, and the dad lets the two girls go on inside without him.
What? No.
When they're in there, he starts to wonder if that was the right thing to do.
It wasn't.
When they exit the house, they're screaming.
Yeah. God. Call the cops. What's happening? Hello.
We cut to the local mail messenger, Sadie Truitt, who sees ambulances approaching the Clutter farm and is a bit concerned. She and her daughter Myrtle Claire, who is a rough...
Yeah.
Who is a rough, hard-boiled type of character. They both hear the news...
The daughter or the daughter, the male woman.
They're both male women.
This little child is... Oh, it's not a child. Okay, never mind.
No, adult daughter. I think Sadie's, like, old, and her daughter's, like, grown up.
Okay. And they're eggs. Okay.
Hard-boiled ones. Both hear the news of the quadruple murder on the radio. Myrtle is cynical about the news, but they are both shocked. That morning...
Quadruple murder. Hang on. Sorry. So there's the mom, the dad, and there's 3 kids in the house, right? Because there's...
Only 2. The older one who's getting married doesn't live there.
But what about the other one? The one that he... Oh, it's Nancy and the other one that had the little clubhouse. Where's the other one?
I think she lives with her fiance or something. She doesn't live there.
Oh, there's only... I thought there was 4 kids.
I think there might be, but 2 of them don't live at home.
Okay, all right.
The older 2 don't live at home. And one of them's about to get married. The other one, I think, already is married.
Yeah,
but they don't really come into the story because they don't get murdered. So, spoilers: people are going to get murdered. The morning news was announced from Sunday morning church pulpits and over the radio. A lot of the men in town converge on a place called Hartman's Cafe, where Bess Hartman, the owner, realizes that the killer was probably someone she knows. Someone from the town. Susan, Nancy's best friend, and Bobby Rupp, her boyfriend, are hysterical for some reason. I don't know why.
Like
something
like
bad.
They're funny right now?
No, like... Stop it.
They're killing it.
Meanwhile, Perry Smith is sleeping in a hotel, while Dick has a sit-down dinner with his family, who live in Kansas. I'm pretty sure. Or nearby. He tells them that he and Perry were going to visit Perry's sister in Fort Scott. After dinner, Dick sleeps like a baby. A group of townsmen, Mr. Clutter's old hunting buddies, go to the crime scene and do the crime scene cleanup.
Are there cops in this town? Is this getting investigated? What's happening
hold on.
here?
All the stuff inside the house has to be burned, and the men consider it their Christian duty to help out. Meanwhile, the KBI, Kansas Bureau of Investigation, is finally arriving on the scene. So the cops did the initial processing of the crime scene, and now the State Bureau of Investigation is here. So a man named Alvin Dewey is the agent in charge. He's a mild man with a wife and a young family. He has no clues, save for 2 sets of distinctive footprints. They're referred to as diamond and cat's paw. So I don't really know what that means, but I'm sure it means something if you're a cop.
Any cops out there listen to this?
Write us in about...
quit your jobs, bro.
ACAB.
Jesus. I'm gonna get canceled.
Yeah. By who? The cops? You mean arrested?
Arrested. Yeah. Me, officer?
Agent Dewey suspects that there was more than one murderer involved. It'd be hard for one man, I think, to kill 4 people or to subdue them all. But he's having trouble figuring out a motive. There was little money in the house, and while some was stolen, like $40 or something, a bunch of expensive stuff seemed to be left. They figure out that Nancy saw what was happening or woke up before she was tied to the bed and killed, because they found her watch, her nice sort of watch that was given as a present or something. It was hidden inside one of her shoes in her closet. So they suspected that she'd woken up, heard something going on in the house, figured they were being robbed, and then hid her prized possession, the watch, in a shoe. Also, Dewey guesses that the murderers were close to the family, which would account for the violence, which seems excessive, and also that they seem to know the layout of the house.
Do we find out how they were killed?
Yeah, but not for a long time.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Capote keeps us in suspense.
I know, it's so, I'm kind of spooked. Why am I... Is there an... Milo! Come in here. Protect me.
Mr. Clutter... Oh, I can tell you how they were found. Mr. Clutter was found tied up down in the furnace room next to the basement, with his neck slit and shot in the head. Kenyon was tied to a couch in the basement rec room, where he liked to tinker and was busy making his sister's
the box.
Yeah. He was also shot in the head, though a pillow seemed to have been placed under his head for comfort. Nancy and Mrs. Clutter were tied down to their respective beds and also each shot in the head.
Okay.
So, for some reason, paranoia and mistrust spread through Holcomb.
For some reason, unbeknownst to anyone. I don't know why. Could be the horrible family murder.
There's a sense that if it could happen to the Clutters, who are very well known and upstanding, then it could happen again. It could happen to anyone.
Yeah.
In the town of Olathe, Perry and Dick are eating out in a diner. Dick is ravenous, but Perry isn't hungry for much except aspirin. He's worried... You know how it is. He's worried they'll be caught, and gets Dick to admit that he had incorrect information. I'm not sure if you find out here or not, but Dick heard that there was $10,000 inside the house. Which in 1950s money is...
Alana, look it up.
A lot of...
Quick, we need to know. I want to guess. Probably like $50,000 or something.
Not nothing. $10,000.
10.
107,000.
Whoa.
So not nothing.
That's not nothing. Yeah.
Not nothing.
No.
Susan Kidwell attends the Clutter family's funeral service. Nancy is in her red dress.
Oh.
All the Clutters are dressed nicely, but their heads, unsalvageable for an open viewing, are wrapped up in cotton about twice the size of a blown-up balloon.
Ugh, that's even creepier.
Yeah. Something has been sprayed on the cotton that makes it shiny and sparkly like fake Christmas tree snow.
Oh, I hate that.
Susan remembers riding with Nancy on her pet horse, Babe. 1,000 people attend the funeral.
1,000?
Mm-hmm.
That's so many.
So they come in from all over, I'm guessing.
What the fuck? Why?
Well, just people who knew the Clutters at some point in their lives. Whatever. Dick and Perry... We're back to Dick and Perry. They move from shop to shop in Olathe, writing bad checks in order to make themselves back a little of the money they'd meant to get at the Clutter house. Soon, their car is full of items to pawn, including but not limited to like a little radio that Kenyon had made himself.
Oh, okay. Oh no.
Yeah. Agent Dewey, back at Holcomb, can hardly sleep because his phone is ringing off the hook with updates on the case. Everyone in the state seems to have a tip, each of which must be thoroughly investigated.
Does he have a team? Or is it just him? He needs a team.
He has a team. He ends up having a team of like 4 people, but he's in charge. His wife, Marie, wonders aloud whether they'll ever have a normal life again.
No. No, Marie.
No, Marie. One of the older living Clutter sisters, I think there's 2, the one who was engaged, moves her wedding forward so that all the extended family in town for the funeral can come without extra expense. Which is like, I don't know if that's good or bad. Like, is it good taste? Is it bad taste? Is it...
It's ergonomical, but it's in pretty bad taste.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
for those people, like,
for
if
the
their
funeral,
families...
like, it's like on a lazy Susan, and then she like flips it around, and the wedding is on the other side.
But if their family's poor, maybe it's kind to them to let them be able to come to the wedding as well.
I don't know. I just kind of don't want to get married after my entire family has been slaughtered.
Yeah, I guess so.
Not really feeling it, you know?
Yeah, true. Also, a letter from Bonnie Clutter's brother, whose name is Mr. Fox, appears in the local paper, asking the town to exercise Christian forgiveness towards whoever killed his sister and her family.
No.
Yeah, I'm like, no one asked you, Mr. Fox. Now, Perry and Dick are standing on a mountain outside of Mexico. Perry admits to Dick that he was surprised he was able to go through with the killings. This surprises Dick. The entire reason he recruited Perry in the first place for the job, although Perry doesn't know it, is that Perry once bragged to him that he'd killed a black man. He doesn't call him a black man, by the way.
Yep.
For no reason.
Oh,
he bragged that he'd killed this guy for no reason. However, unbeknownst to Dick, that was a lie to make him look tough.
Tough as fuck, yeah.
Jail. I don't know what the rules are. As they continue on their drive to Mexico, Dick swerves to hit stray dogs.
I sure. You know what? Whatever.
Do you want to look them up? Do you want to look up pictures of them?
No, because that is too creepy. Okay. I'm going to look it up in the morning.
Okay, sure.
When there's sun.
Back in Hulk, I didn't mean like crime scene photos. I just meant of the 2 killers, just to see what they look like. Okay. pussy.
No.
Back in Holcomb.
Wait, hang on. My goodness.
The
you have your stupid, dumb husband making you dessert and sleeping in bed with you. I'm all alone, man.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Dear, I don't have dessert.
I don't know what that feels like to not have dessert. Or someone to squish you and give you.
Can't wait to see you in 6 weeks when I can slap your fucking face off.
I mean, miss you so much.
I can just get someone else to slap you if you want. I'll call
that'd be good, actually. It'd be like you're right there. Anyway, back in Holcomb, the journalists have left, right? It's over, sort of. But gossip still thrives at Hartman's Cafe. A resident named Mr. McCoy has decided to move away because his wife is so scared she can't sleep.
McCoy. That's Alana. Well, half of her.
The Ashita family, a Japanese immigrant family whose wife was close with Herb because they worked on one of the same councils together, is also leaving. I wasn't able to give it a lot of time here, but Truman Capote spends a lot of time on Mrs. Ashita and her relationship with Herb and how just nice it is and what good friends they are. So it's really, really sad. Like, it's just sad. Lovely.
And then you didn't think to include that.
Well, there's a lot, you know.
Don't care.
It's kind of tangential to the plot. It just illuminates the character of Herb and kind of the town. But he gives her like an award for her, and that day that he dies. Anyway, she's one of the last people to see him alive as well. Dick and Perry are in Mexico now, and they befriend a wealthy German tourist named Otto. And
they're all named Otto, aren't they?
Wealthy German tourists, every single one.
Yep.
All 12 of them.
They got
Otto,
their German sugar daddy.
They got their sugar daddy, which in German is
Sugar Papa.
Vater.
Sugar Vader.
You know, life's beautiful, isn't it?
I don't. Keep telling me.
They go in his boat around the Mexican coast on a lovely fishing holiday. Perry sings and plays guitar while Dick complains of a headache. I guess.
Well, Perry should have some aspirin then, so whatever.
No, but it's for Perry. Get your own aspirin. It is Otto's last day in Mexico, and now penniless because the two, mainly Dick, have spent all their money on sex workers and drink. They're, I already said they're penniless, so they're just going to head back into Mexico City, where Dick is going to try to get work as a mechanic.
Okay.
Just as the sun begins to set, Perry catches a huge sailfish. He's photographed with it, and looks, it seems to him, just like he has arrived in the promised land. He's a very romantic boy.
Does the book have photos of these people? Like,
not the one I read, listened to.
Oh yeah, how would that have a photo?
Yeah, but these are all available. Sorry. Mr. Helms, remember him, the groundskeeper of the Clutters, is still keeping. Yeah, sure. He's still keeping those grounds.
Someone's gotta.
Someone's gotta keep him. One afternoon,
he's like, grounds kept. I don't know what else he has to do. Family dead. I don't know.
Milk, eggs, grounds. One afternoon, he thinks he sees a face in Bonnie Clutter's window. He calls the police, who discover Daniel Adrian, a vagrant who's been squatting in the house, which is just so haunted. He has a shotgun and a knife in his car, so he's arrested. Alas, a red herring. The regular colored herrings are living in a hotel in Mexico City.
Did you write that?
Did
you put that in here? It's pretty good.
They have entirely run out of money at this point and are about to be kicked out of their hotel at come 2 p.m. Perry must decide what of his 2 large boxes of letters and memorabilia he will take with him on the bus back to America, and what he will leave behind to kind of send for later, get them mailed over. The boxes hold tacky souvenirs, old letters, and notebooks. And as he sorts through them, we get to read a couple. So this is kind of our deep dive into Perry Smith's life. Truman Capote is clearly fascinated by Perry Smith. So
Dick
he spends a lot more time.
Mexico, and Perry wants to go back to America.
No, they're both going back.
I thought Dick was gonna get a job or something.
He was, but it didn't work out. He ended up complaining, like, they only want to pay me fucking 2 pesos. I don't know how much.
2 pesos.
He's like, I get better work than this in America.
Where's their car? Why are they taking a bus?
Maybe, I think, yeah, they're taking a bus, so they must have ditched it or sold it.
Probably sold it.
Probably sold it, spent on the money, is my guess. So he finds a letter from his father, whose name is Tex John Smith. He's the Irish half, which is essentially a biography of Perry's childhood, which he sent to the prison to help him get an early parole. So it's like a character witness statement in a way, but it's also like a biography of Perry. In the letter, his father emphasizes that Perry was a normal child and that he is, quote, good-hearted if he is treated right. He says that Perry does have a tendency to rebel against authority, though. And the letter, especially the way it leaves out certain details and is generally self-righteous, fills Perry with self-pity, love, and also hate for his father. Perry remembers watching his parents, whose stage names were Tex and Flo, ride bucking horses at rodeos. They were rodeo performers. He remembers his parents' divorce, how he went to stay with his mother. She got custody. And he tried to run away to his father. I think his father came to his school one time because she wouldn't let him see the kids. So he came to the school to see the kids. And Perry wanted to run away with his father, but his father denied him. He was like, no, stay with your mom. And it was turned away. At a certain point, Flo's drinking got so bad that the kids ended up in a Catholic orphanage. Why
can't the dad just fucking take him? Oh, God.
Well, I think he was in a completely another state. I don't even know if he knew what was going on at this point. I know he did a lot of prospecting up in Alaska. Prospecting, like, for gold. Was apparently still a thing. So, in this Catholic orphanage, nuns beat him because he wet the bed. A chronic condition which came from malnourishment as a child.
Oh, no. And that's not how you get someone to stop wetting the bed.
Yeah. They would apparently, like, surprise him in the dark. They would, like, catch him out.
That would make him pee more.
Yeah.
He just get scared. The only reason he was pissing the bed is because he would get scared.
Apparently, one of the nuns beat him with a flashlight until it broke and then kept beating him with it in the dark.
So, what? No.
Yeah. Finally, his father took him in. And he finished 3rd grade, but that was the last schooling he ever got, something he's always really been resentful of, because he fancies himself very intelligent. He uses big words. He wanted an education. He didn't get it. His father built a mobile home, and the two traveled the country together. So the other kids are either with the mother, moved out, still in an orphanage. I don't know what's happened, but they're sort of in the wind. And he
the dad only chose him. He was like, out of all my kids,
he took Perry under his wing. I think the others were a bit older as well. Perry joined the Merchant Marine when he was 16, and then the army after that. He was the first soldier back from the Korean War in Alaska. And he got a write-up in the paper for that. They took his photo and stuff. So there's that. He was on his way to join his father in Alaska, prospecting, I assume, after finishing his service, but a motorcycle wreck delayed him in Washington State for a year.
A what?
A motorcycle wreck.
Accident? I thought you said murder cycle wreck. I'm like, what at?
A motorcycle accident.
Oh, that's what did his legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, so the moral of the story is motorcycles are so dangerous. Like, I've always wanted to feel how it is to, like, ride one, but at what cost? Like,
I'd go in a cute little Vespa around, like, a quaint Italian city where there are no cars.
That would be cute.
Or the trucks are, like, tricycles.
But that won't
like,
be fast,
they have 3 wheels.
You know what I mean? Fast. That's just like a scooter.
Exactly. That would be okay, but I wouldn't go on, like, a proper motorcycle on a proper road, I don't think.
I'd go if the person driving was, like, a profesh, and then just to experience it, but then the whole time I'd just be thinking I was gonna die. So good points on both ends.
So Perry helps his father build a roadside lodge, but it never gained much business. He and his father began to starve, and they had a falling out over the last biscuit. I know it's funny, but until it's not, until you're starving. Perry headed for Massachusetts. He planned to meet up with an old army friend, but along the way he fell in with, quote, bad company.
They could have cut the biscuit in half, is all I'm saying.
And then under the influence of this friend, or this bad company, he ended up robbing an office supply store in Kansas.
An office supply store?
For, I don't know, fucking Post-it notes.
Yeah, got some blue tack or something. I don't know what he's getting.
They were arrested for that, but Perry escaped in a stolen car and went to Massachusetts, but failed to find his army friend. He moved to New York for a while, but eventually the Federal Bureau of Investigation caught up with him and brought him back to jail in Kansas, where he met Dick. This time, his mother had died, his brother Jimmy had killed himself, and his sister Fern had, quote, fallen out of a window. She had also killed herself.
Oh my goodness.
So he's got one sister left, and his father, who's kind of lone wolf. He also finds a letter that his remaining sister, Barbara, wrote him while he was in jail. It scolds Perry for feeling sorry for himself and blaming their father and his childhood for his troubles. He must be like sitting in jail writing her letters going like, man, no one gives me a chance, man, sort of thing.
Well, you're in jail. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's pretty boring.
Perry loathes his sister. At one point later in the story, he says, I wish it had been her in that house. So, yeah. Perry also finds an interpretation of his sister's letter written by his prison friend Willie J., the one who kind of got him into religion. And it's almost like when you send me like a text someone sent you and I'm like breaking it down. I'm like, okay, I think they feel this way. Like, I think they mean this. This is kind of what he's done here. He writes, it's like in quasi-intellectual language, and Willie J. writes that Barbara is obviously a conformist, full of human frailty, and his interpretation's full of quotations from Barbara's letter. He's like, when she says this, it shows that she feels this, and that makes Perry feel better. Like, he likes that Willie J. is kind of taking Barbara down.
Yeah. So you're Willie J. and I'm Perry.
Yes.
And Barbara's anyone else.
Perry also finds some of his own notebooks. One is a dictionary of odd words that Perry has learned, such as thanatoid or depredate. Just Latin words that no one would ever use, but
except for him, because he's quirky and intelligent and, cool and fun.
Genuinely, that's how he feels.
Fuck this dude.
Another is a kind of diary that includes odd facts and quotations.
Oh my god, I hate this guy so much. He's just trying
One
so
of them
hard
was
to be
like,
quirky.
if ever called upon to make a speech. And he's like, I've forgotten what I was going to say. But never have I been so happy, and has my happiness relied on so many lovely people. He just like wrote a speech just in case he ever needed one. Like,
oh my god.
Like an Oscar speech. He's a bit deluded. He has some delusions of grandeur.
Yeah, a bit.
Also, this is the point we learn where all the time while he's been looking through this stuff, Dick has been having sex on the other bed.
He's just like, can you stop reading those out loud? You're kind of bumming me out. Like, you're drying her out, bro.
With a sex worker named Inez, whom he has promised to marry. But he lied.
Why does she want to
Perry disapproves of this all, of course. Because he's a moral man, Perry.
Yeah, only murder.
Only murder. So back to Agent Dewey.
Okay, what's he up to?
He's been working to the point of exhaustion, trying to track down these boys. He's on his way to check over River Valley Farm again for things he's missed, which is a habit of his. On his way, he stops at Hartman's Cafe, the gossip epicenter, where some of the citizens harass him to arrest somebody already, so their wives will stop being afraid.
That's not how the law works, but sure.
That's what he said. Meanwhile, Dick and Perry, he keeps switching back and forward, and it gets like quicker when things, each section gets shorter when the tension's rising.
Yeah, kind of like a movie, like it's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Dick and Perry are hitchhiking in the Mojave Desert. They have almost nothing and are waiting for a car to pick them up so they can like rob it at gunpoint.
Great. Is there a movie of this book?
I think so, yeah. And Capote is a really interesting movie because it's kind of this book, but from Truman's point of view as he's writing it.
Oh,
which is really
double
interesting.
story.
So it's like imagining what his emotional involvement in the story is, because he had 8,000 pages of notes. He interviewed everyone deeply, including the killers. Like this book kind of wrecked his life. Like he had PTSD from it.
Well, no one really asked him to do it, but you know.
No, it's entirely his fault. I don't really feel that sorry for him.
Yeah.
It's a good book. I'm glad he did it. So, a man named Floyd Wells is listening to the radio in his Kansas jail cell. He is shocked when he hears of the Clutter murders. Mm-hmm. He never thought his old cellmate, Dick Hickok, would actually go through with his plans to rob and murder the family.
The family? Why does he just knows of them? Okay.
Wells, a former River Valley Farm employee, so a former employee of Herb Clutter.
He's the one that said there was $10,000
about Clutter, and told him, that he was a wealthy man, always paying his workers, which Wells used to be, in cash. This is how Dick heard about the Clutters, through Floyd Wells. He waits for several weeks out of fear that he'll be implicated in the crime. And then about the time Dick and Perry are hitchhiking, Wells nervously reports this information to the authorities. He finally owns up.
So it's because of him that these people are dead, essentially. He's like, yeah, he paid me.
Kind of.
Something wrong about that guy.
I think he's rich.
He pays his workers.
Alvin Dewey enters his home. Agent Alvin Dewey enters his home to find his wife preparing dinner. He listens to her for a while, then breaks the news that they found the two dudes, showing her the mugshots of the two men.
She's like, okay.
He's obviously stoked. Another KBI agent, Harold Nye, so this is one of his team of 4, visits the home of Dick Hickok's family, his mum and dad, and doesn't mention the Clutter case to Dick's parents, but tells them about the hot checks instead. You know, the fake checks they were writing? Mm-hmm. They tell him Dick is supposedly visited Fort Scott on the weekend of the murders, but he does notice a shotgun resting casually against the wall. Still hitchhiking, Dick and Perry finally get a ride with a lone man who seems fairly well-to-do. Just as Dick gives Perry the symbol to club the driver's head with a rock, the driver pulls over for another hitchhiker.
Nice.
Blissfully ignorant of almost being killed. So Nye goes to Las Vegas, where he speaks to Perry's old landlord. She is not much help, but he does find the box of memorabilia that Perry left behind. Mm-hmm. Nye then visits Perry's sister Barbara, the one who wrote him the letter, in San Francisco. Her children and husband are playing in the backyard, and she's expecting guests very soon. She's a very, normal, nice lady.
Yeah, she got out of that.
Yeah. She reports that she has not heard from Perry, and would report it if she did. She's afraid of him.
Yeah.
Now in Iowa, Dick and Perry take refuge from the rain in a barn by the highway. Dick wants to return to Kansas City, because he's sure he can pass some checks there, having been successful in the past, I guess. Despite it being near the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
And besides that, a violation of their parole, still.
I think the murder is also a big violation of their parole, yeah. So,
Adds up, it adds up. In the barn, they find a 1956 Chevy with a key in the ignition.
Oh,
they
perfect.
steal it. Because how could you not?
Yeah, who the fuck did that? They're just... Hope no one steals my Chevy in the barn with my key still in it.
Agent Dewey is careful to keep Wells' confession from leaking. There are a few rumors going around in Garden City, but none in Holcomb, where the murders are now a forbidden subject in Hartman's Cafe. Because I guess
stressing everyone out too much.
Just shut up.
Not helping anyone.
Oh, there was a thing where, Perry had a dream of hunting treasure in Mexico.
So, no, it's just
because he just wanted to live out his boyhood fantasy, and that's what his plan to go to in Mexico was. And Dick kind of went along with it.
Did they find anything? Did they get a metal detector?
No, they didn't actually do it. Oh. They ended up just, boozing and whoring. But, because Dick didn't actually care. He didn't really want to do it. He was just telling Perry what he wanted to hear because he thought Perry was this cold-blooded killer who'd be able to help him with this thing. Oh. So he was like, yeah, man, we'll go to Mexico, whatever. It'll be fun. Don't worry about it, honey. He called him honey.
Dick called Perry honey.
Yeah, he calls him honey all the time.
Is he gay?
No.
Oh.
He's a pedophile, though. You'll learn that later. Anyway,
okay, I asked if he's gay and you tell me he's a pedophile.
No, they're not the same, obviously. They're very different. You're asking about his sexuality, and I was just telling you what his deal
Children. Preference. Kids. Disgusting.
Girls, specifically. Young girls. Anyway. Yeah. Blech.
How old are these guys? Like, would you
late 20s?
Late 20s, okay.
Like 28, I think. Ish. Okay.
And if you when you say younger, like, are we talking 16 years old or 6 years old?
Like 13, 14 was the one he told. Anyway, I'll tell you. We're about to go to Miami.
Oh, fun. Woo.
But in the meantime, Perry is sitting nervously in a laundromat in Kansas City. Dick dropped him off and promised to come back soon, but he's late. Perry is haunted by visions of police. But finally, Dick returns, having switched the license plate on the car and passed several big checks, so they're ready to go on their next adventure. Agent Dewey has a nightmare in which he walks into a cafe and sees the killers. They leap through the plate glass window, and he chases after them. He wakes up in his office. As he gets ready to leave, he gets a phone call. It's Nye, reporting that Dick Hickok has been writing checks all over Kansas City.
Nice.
They're closing in.
Yeah.
However, Dick and Perry are sitting under an umbrella at a beach in Miami.
Son of a bitch. That sounds so idyllic.
I know. It's around Christmas time. Dick goes for a walk and tries to befriend a young girl.
No.
Noticing this is enough to disgust Perry and interrupt his contemplation of suicide.
What?
He's just, 3 p.m. contemplation of suicide.
So Perry's just like, should I kill myself? And Dick's like, hang on, I'm just going to hit on a 12-year-old, then I'll get back to you.
And then Perry's like, gross. He's deeply disgusted by anyone he sees as not being able to control their sexual urges, especially anything he sees as a perversion. And Dick, like I said, is definitely a pedophile and admits to it later.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Over in Kansas, on Christmas morning, Bobby Rupp, Nancy's old BF. Late? No, what is it? What's the boyfriend version of a widow? Anyway, he had a painting of her on his wall.
What? No, don't. Don't do that.
He remembers how he would always brave the snows to walk over to the Clutter house and give Nancy her present.
He can still do that. She just won't be there.
Bobby goes out running mindlessly and ends up in Mr. Clutter's prize orchard where the fruit is rotting in the Indian summer.
Oh.
Even though it's Christmas, so I assume that just means summer lasts really long.
Well, they are in
I don't know.
Hotville,
Kansas. Dick and Perry, having run out of money again, are returning to the West looking for work. In Texas, they pick up a young boy and his decrepit grandfather.
Oh, no.
The mother or aunt or someone of the boy just died, but they have family somewhere in Texas, though each town they go to says the person they're looking for is in a different town, so they're having a time.
What are they gonna do with this old guy and this young boy? What are they doing with them?
They're giving them a lift.
Why?
Dick is scared the grandfather will die in the car, but is mollified by the boy's ability to spot empty bottles along the roadside, which they pick up and cash in at a roadside restaurant. Okay. Refunds they used to do for glass bottles. It's cute. I think Perry just wanted to pick them up.
Okay.
He gets these notions.
Dick's just like, okay, not my type, but whatever.
On December 30th, Alvin Dewey is called out of the shower. Oh, yeah, on Sam's birthday.
Oh, no.
Alvin Dewey is called out of the shower by one of his sons to
Stay
answer an urgent phone call.
That's me. It's my birthday.
The phone call is like, it's Sam's birthday.
And he's like, oh, no.
It's urgent. Oh. As his wife wonders why he's dripping water everywhere as he runs through the house, he suddenly hugs her. It's Sam's birthday, he says.
She's like, great, but you're getting water everywhere. And he's like, it's all right. It's her birthday.
He has not taken a minute off from the case since it began in mid-November. A police officer in Las Vegas has spotted the killer's license plate just after Perry picked up the rest of the memorabilia he mailed from Mexico City to his old hotel in Vegas. In the Las Vegas police station, the 4 KBI agents, Dewey, Nye, and Clarence Dunce and Roy Church, the other two, are preparing to question Dick and Perry. Nye has the flu, but he says that his fever is partly excitement.
Oh.
I don't know if it's the flu or I'm just stoked.
Either way, let's get him.
The prisoners start off believing they are being questioned for passing hot checks.
Is this still part 1, or are you just not telling me what parts were?
No, I think I missed where part 2 happened. I'm sorry.
Dick.
Yeah.
You dick.
I don't think I put in any part names apart from part one.
Oh my god. This whole time I'm like, this is still part one?
This is the whole story.
Oh my god.
I'm so sorry.
She says, not sounding sorry at all.
I'm not.
Tiny little drunk eyes. She's
Fuck
like,
you. Just listen. Nye and Church question Dick, who is cocky and kind of proud of his bad checks, to be honest, and reminds them that he's been questioned before, so he knows the deal.
Sure.
As they lead up to the hot check spree in Olathe, Dick tells them that they went to Fort Scott, failed to find Perry's sister, and spent the night with 2 prostitutes.
Damn.
This is on the night of the murder when they ask him what they were doing.
This is the alibi.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing they told Dick's parents. Dick takes pride in recounting the exact addresses of every place they stayed on their cross-country travels. Finally, Nye comes to the point and accuses Dick of the murders. He denies them, but he's visibly shaken.
He's just like, I got the flu, I don't have time for this.
Meanwhile, Dewey and Dunce question Perry. They repeat the process used with Dick, with basically the same result. Perry is very upset, and afterwards lies troubled in his cold cell, as does Dick. The next day, Dick breaks. The 2 officers show him photographs of the footprints from the scene of the crime, which match Dick's boots and Perry's boots. They actually didn't even throw them away. They found them with the boots, so...
Well, it's not like they're, like...
Lucky break for the cops.
It's not like they're super smart or anything. They just seem to be, like, bad people.
They actually did pretty well cleaning up a lot of the evidence.
Well, not well enough. Stop defending the killers again,
Obviously
Sandy.
not well enough, but they picked up the shells and stuff. Like, the cops, the footprints were the only clues, remember? They didn't even have spent shells.
Well,
but anyway.
Here they are in
not
prison.
Good enough. Dick blames the actual killings on Perry and mentions to them that Perry had bragged about killing a black man in cold blood.
Title.
And again, he doesn't say black man.
Yes, we get it, Sandy.
This is it's in every single book. We do.
Yeah. I wonder what that means. For once, I'd like to read a book with a black person and for them not to be called the N-word. That'd be so great.
be different. Back at Hartman's Cafe, news comes over the radio that 2 suspects have been arrested.
Nice.
People are shocked and also a little skeptical, mainly because they're complete strangers. And why would complete strangers do something that savage to these people?
In cold blood.
For no reason, right?
There was a reason. They just don't know.
Yeah. The suspects are taken in 2 different cars on a long drive to Garden City, Kansas. Perry doesn't confess until Dewey tells him the story about Perry killing a black man, something that only Dick would know, which proves that this isn't a ruse by the police to get him to flip, and that Dick actually has confessed and blamed him.
Oh my god, Dick.
So he does flip. He gives a full confession of everything that had happened that night. Mm-hmm. Dick had thought, and this is where we actually hear what had happened.
Finally.
Dick had thought that the Clutters had a large safe with, as we heard, $10,000 in it. Mm-hmm. When they didn't find it, Perry wanted to leave, but Dick wanted to look around more, desperate to find the money. They wake and tie up the entire family. The process takes hours. Perry is frantic. Dick wants to rape Nancy. But Perry threatens to kill him if he does.
Yay.
Finally, Perry shoots the 2 men downstairs, slits Herb's throat and then shoots him and then shoots Kenyon. And then Dick shoots the 2 women upstairs. When the police cars arrive in Garden City, a large, stunned crowd watches the criminals walk from the cars to the jail. This scene in Capote is really cool, because, like, Capote's there in the crowd.
Philip Seymour Hoffman, like...
He's so good.
He's, like, superimposed into the crowd.
He's so
like,
good.
Like Forrest Gump. Oh, you haven't seen Forrest Gump. Never mind. Sandy's never seen Forrest Gump. I find that so strange.
The Garden City jail.
You haven't seen Forrest Gump either. Everyone's seen Forrest Gump. It's Forrest Gump.
Statistically, if we take this group as it's 30% of people have seen Forrest Gump. Oh, the Garden City jail is on the 4th floor of the county courthouse. That floor is also the home of Wendell Meyer, the assistant sheriff, and his wife Josephine. The, quote, ladies' cell is part of their apartment. It's like just off their kitchen. And Perry is in that cell because they wanted to keep the 2 men separate. Yeah. So Perry's kind of living in a little cage in their house.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Josephine finds him quiet and sweet, but her husband, who is at the scene of the crime, corrects her, saying something like, he'd kill you as soon as look at you.
Yep.
Perry keeps a journal in his cell, which we get to read bits and pieces of. He corrects his earlier confession, saying that in fact he personally shot all 4 victims. But Agent Dewey is skeptical, suspecting that he's just saying that for the benefit of Dick, who doesn't want his parents to think of him as a killer.
What? Why is he doing that for Dick?
He likes him.
That's stupid.
Perry hears on the radio that the district attorney will seek the death penalty.
Good. Let's keep going.
Neither Perry's sister nor father come to visit him.
Oh.
He receives a kind letter, though, from an old army friend, Don Cullivan, who read about the case in the papers. Don wants to be Perry's friend and tell him about Catholicism.
Okay. Oh, where's Willie J, baby?
In the wind.
Oh.
Perry crafts an enthusiastic response explaining how he doesn't believe in religion, but would love to be Don's friend.
No to the first part, yes to the second.
Meanwhile, Dick seems very relaxed, smoking and reading porn.
Ew.
But he's working on an ice pick-like shiv crafted from a toilet brush he stole and is planning to escape.
A toilet brush?
Perry's diary continues. He notes that the sheriff searched the rooms and found Dick's shiv. He fantasizes that some men he sees outside plan to rescue him, but nothing comes of it. It seems like an actual delusion, the way he writes it down. Like, he's like, there are people here to rescue me, and then I've been communicating them by, like, winking or something.
And it's just like the gardener.
I think he genuinely is potentially schizophrenic.
Yeah. He's had enough trauma in his life.
Yeah. He dreams of the big yellow parrot that will rescue him. The parrot is Christ, by the way.
And he didn't believe in religion.
Yeah. The trial begins. The state-appointed counsel suggests a change of venue on account of the jury knowing the case and being prejudiced, but it is denied. A psychologist is called in. There is a request to delay the trial because the Clutter estate sale will take place the day before the trial, another thing that might prejudice the jury, but this motion is denied as well. On the first day of the trial, the jury is selected. Perry pays little attention, focusing on the autobiography that the psychologist asked him to write for their psychological assessment.
Loves that.
His writing's disjointed and intense, mentioning some of the more traumatic events in his life. It's like he's trying to be really detailed, but then he realizes he's running out of time and he kind of just crams as much in there as he can.
Yeah, so everyone ever when submitting an assignment, like when at 11:59 p.m. and it's like 11:48, and you're just like
Dick does the same. He writes as well, but he's more casual, and while he's doing it, he pays some attention to the jury selection that's going on. The next day, the state begins to present its case. Routine witnesses are called, such as those who were at the scene of the crime.
Mm-hmm.
Floyd Wells testifies. The trial progresses through the week. Agent Dewey, is the last to testify. His testimony is very important because it's the first time the public has heard a description of what actually took place on the night of the murders. Mm-hmm. The fact that Dick wanted to rape Nancy Clutter shocks the courtroom, as do the crime scene photos, which the defense tried to prohibit the admission of. Oof. In fact, obviously. Don Cullivan, Perry's army buddy, visits Perry in his jail cell.
At least someone visited Perry.
Well, Truman Capote's visiting every day.
Well, no, Truman. Oh my God, he's just a little true crime fanboy.
Sure is. That's the one thing that kind of runs throughout this novel that doesn't get brought up, but definitely affects it. Is that everyone here, Truman Capote is in every scene that he's describing. He just doesn't put himself in it.
Dick's parents visit him, I'm guessing?
Yeah, they do. Don Cullivan's attempts to convert Perry fail, but the two share a dinner Mrs. Meyer had prepared, especially for them. I think she's fond of him.
Shouldn't be, but okay.
He makes her favorite. I don't know. On Monday, the defense makes its case. The only witness of substance is their psychologist. According to Kansas's McNaughton rule, which determines innocence by insanity, all a psychologist can do is testify whether or not a defendant could tell right from wrong at the time of the crime.
Yeah. So
it's a very simple rule to determine whether someone can get off on insanity.
I wonder if that's definitely not how it is now.
Not anymore. Now it's way more complicated. Yeah. It's like
we don't have to go into
were they inhibited by mental illness or something during the commission of the crime? It's a lot more broad. and better.
Yeah, this is yes or no.
Truman Capote is pretty openly critical of the Mignon rule in this part of the story, and of the death penalty. In regards to Perry, the psychologist says that he's not sure whether Perry could tell right from wrong at the time of the crime, but the judge does not let him say anything further. Capote, on the other hand, includes what the psychologist would have said, his prepared statement that he wasn't allowed to read, which carefully diagnoses Perry as a potential paranoid schizophrenic.
Yeah.
One fun fact that I forgot to mention: while Truman Capote was down in Kansas researching, Nell Harper Lee, his friend and fellow author, helped him do the research and interview people. She wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. There's a great scene in the movie where Capote, it's like I think it's her movie premiere, and Capote's just in a shit mood because the trials are going on and on and on. And he's like, they're torturing me now. And then his partner's like, can you at least try to be happy for her? And he can't because he's obsessed with himself.
Yeah, sounds about right. Okay, so what I'm gathering is this trial isn't really a trial. It's just like, let's hang him. Come on.
It is a bit. I mean, they've pretty much
all
they
the
got
evidence
the confessions,
at this point.
they got the evidence.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, do they hang them or do they get them life in prison? And in the state of Kansas during this period in time, unfortunately, the normal thing and the done thing was hanging people.
They did kill like 4 people
in cold blood. For $40, which in today's money was...
Alana, what's your cue? $40 in today's money. Oh my god. God, how much wine have you had?
She works so hard. Thank you. Okay, so not enough to kill 4 people. $100 per person.
Yeah, $100 per person.
Fuck.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Like, that's the thing. They didn't even have to kill them.
Yeah.
Like, if the money wasn't there, they could have just... Because, like, didn't they have the... Oh, they didn't get the stockings.
No,
but they could have still just fucked off. I don't know. They didn't have to kill... They didn't have to do anything that they did. That's the whole point. They didn't,
yeah. That's the point.
And yet they did.
And they did.
Yeah, the guy in the prison that told them about the whatever their name is, he's just like...
The clutters. Yeah. He testified. The prosecution dressed him up in, like, a nice blue suit. They tried to make him look respectable. So
and
that
he was
people,
like, they paid me a fair wage, so I thought they were rich. Sorry.
The high society of Garden City comes to the courtroom to hear the summations of the case. Not because they're interested, they claim, but simply out of respect for the judge.
Okay.
Yeah. Judge Tate is famous for his addresses to the jury.
Oh, nice. What does he say?
He calls for the death penalty. And they return it. He had asked the jury not to be, quote, chicken-hearted, and after the death penalty is issued and the 2 prisoners leave the courtroom, Perry says to Dick on the way out, "No chicken-hearted jurors, they." And they both laugh out loud, which I think they caught a picture of. I think there's a famous picture of the 2 of them laughing on their way out of the courtroom.
Ooh.
In the corner of Lansing Penitentiary is a small enclosure, death row. It is known as the corner, so the last section of the book is called the corner.
Oh, so you go to the first and the last section. We just 2 and 3 are just one big section.
I'm very sorry about this.
Okay, all I've heard tonight is sorry. And...
I'm not. I don't give a fuck.
Well, then stop saying it. I'd respect you more.
I did it in cold blood.
You didn't do the parts in cold blood. I didn't get my charger in cold blood.
Small crimes, but they add up. Along with Dick and Perry in death row, there are 3 other prisoners. One of them is the famous Lowell Lee Andrews, a young biology student who slaughtered his family. In the hopes that he would inherit all their money and be able to buy himself a fancy car and go to... He's absolutely a psychopath. He just doesn't feel human emotions.
Yeah, did he not think he would go to jail for murdering his family?
He thought he'd get away with it, but they found him, like, it was really weird. They found him on the porch of his family's house, like, just patting the dog. And he's like, they're in there.
I don't know what happened, officer, but...
Yeah, like, he's tried to set himself up an alibi and everything, like, he went to see a movie and stuff. But they were like, that kid's creepy. I think he did it.
And he was like,
and
damn.
he was, and he did. He's also certifiably schizophrenic, according to a psychological assessment of him, and a book arguing against the McNaughton rule was based on him, which is a fun fact. Dick passes the time smoking and reading porn, and also law books, because he's going to try and get off on appeal.
Okay.
He constantly writes to various organizations requesting help with appeals. Meanwhile, Perry is trying to starve himself to death.
Oh.
Yeah, they have to feed him through a tube for a bit, I think.
Wow.
Then, upon receiving a letter from his father, he decides he wants to live. 2 years of postponed execution dates fly by. This is the point in the story where Truman Capote's like, they're killing me.
And this part is like, they're literally gonna kill them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he's like, I can't finish the story until I know how it ends.
Can't finish it until they kill him. My goodness, Truman.
The prisoners
I wonder what his nickname is. Chewy?
Man.
No.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. Me?
The prisoners are eventually joined by George York and James Latham, 2 AWOL soldiers. Absent without leave is what AWOL stands for.
Yep.
I didn't know that before.
Oh.
So I was like, away without being allowed. I don't know.
Without. Do you think allowed is spelled with an O?
What? It's one of those shitty
without...
acrostics that you see in like memes.
Away without being allowed. Elbow. Close enough. Without being allowed. Grounded.
Shut up. They're both teenagers who went on a killing spree across the country, having decided that they hated life and all people who were alive.
Wow.
Just straight up natural born killers. Them.
Oh, yeah.
One of Dick's letters works. A representative of the Kansas Bar Association, a man named Schultz, takes up the case. A hearing is held claiming that the jury was prejudiced, that the state-appointed defense did not try hard enough, and that Judge Tate was biased.
Not wrong.
Well, but Tate, the lawyers, and the jury quickly and fiercely dispel any doubt that Dick and Perry had a fair trial. So they're like, no, next.
And it was like, but I...
Talking to a journalist who's periodically allowed to visit. Wonder who that could be. Yeah. Dick describes the night Andrews is executed. Dick liked Andrews, but Andrews annoyed Perry because Andrews was actually college educated. He was very educated and was constantly correcting Perry's speech as Perry once used to correct Dick's. Dick speaks about how he likes the other prisoners, and about how he's tried to get along with Perry, who he thinks is always jealous and two-faced. Dick says that he's not against the death penalty, for he understands the impulse for revenge. After a total of 5... He says something like, just so long as it's not me at the end of the noose, I approve of hanging. But then it is so. After a total of 5 years, the case goes to the Supreme Court twice. Oh, Perry and Dick are finally hanged on April 15th, 1965.
Is it still hanging? It's not like the chair or anything?
It's hanging. In Kansas, it's hanging.
Wow.
Yeah. Agent Dewey attends the execution.
So they're hanged at the same time?
They're hanged one right after the other on the same night.
Oh.
Agent Dewey attends the execution. He is surprised by how casual everyone is. Also, it's like in a warehouse in the prison, which is like full of stuff.
Do the
lying
other
around
two
everywhere, like sports stuff?
Sisters attend, like the remaining?
No, they don't. And Dick is kind of disappointed. Dick is disappointed not to see any of the family there because it seems to him like it's not being done properly, like revenge isn't being served or whatever.
He's like, "Come on, I'm dying here."
Then anyone wanna? This is for you. You don't want to see?
It's in cold blood. Anyone of their family come?
No.
Wow.
I don't think they're allowed though. I don't know.
Really? Okay. Oh,
I honestly don't know. When Dick enters, Dick's first, he says that he holds no hard feelings against the state, and he shakes hands with all 4 KBI officers, And he thanks
Good
him.
show.
Truman says he thanks him like he's attending his own funeral.
Well, he is.
Yeah, a little bit.
A lot bit. He's gonna die.
So he's hanged. Next, Perry enters, and he winks mischievously at Agent Dewey.
No.
However, when asked for his last words, he sobers up. He says that he is against the death penalty and that he is sorry. And then he is hanged. He says something like, he like kind of falters halfway through, but he's like, maybe I could have had something to offer. But then he's like, Truman says he's overcome by shyness, and he stops talking.
So Truman was there at the execution?
Definitely. As he exits, Agent Dewey does not feel relief. Instead, he remembers a recent trip to the graveyard where the Clutters are buried. There, he ran into Susan Kidwell, who was visiting the grave of Nancy Clutter. Susan told him about how well she was going and how Bobby Rupp had just been married.
Oh.
He saw the wind blow over the grass. And that is the end of the story.
Oh.
And apparently, actually, and I hate to do this to you, that last little scene where he goes to the graveyard, the real Agent Dewey said, yeah, that never happened. Truman made that up. Among a couple other things, there's like a scene where the jailer lady, where Perry was like living in her house,
yeah,
in the jail, she like holds his hand and cries after he gets the death penalty. Or he's crying and she holds his hand while he cries, and she's like, yeah, that never happened.
Yeah.
So he made a couple things. You
gotta take some creative liberties to make it a little juicy.
So now it's like, but it's also so detailed and factual and research that it's like, well, what's real? What's not real? So yeah, that's In Cold Blood by Truman Capote.
That's a bummer.
Pioneer of true crime and the nonfiction novel. Great American nonfiction novel.
It was really good, but it was just sad. Like no one won.
Real life, man. Real life is sad.
That whole family died for $40.
Yeah, I know. I've always found it one of the least satisfying crimes to hear about. So I guess the thing that's so fascinating about it is also the thing that makes it so unsatisfying and boring, which is that there was no reason.
Yeah, it was just in cold blood.
Yeah. There was like, yeah, it was just... There's no, there's nothing to figure out. There's no real mystery. It's just no motive. I guess that's the problem for me.
It's just mindless violence.
Yeah.
But
So some people analyze it and they're like, it's kind of a little bit about the American dream. Like the Clutters were living it, the American dream, but the American dream.
For fuck's sake. Everything was the American dream in that era of literature.
Yeah, true. But like the American dream only exists as long as you're able to keep the marginalized out. And when the marginalized come in, it erupts into violence. Is one take that people have taken. It's a bit nihilistic though. It's kind of like nothing matters. But Truman grew really fond, it's said, of Perry Smith in particular.
Maybe he shouldn't have.
Maybe he shouldn't have. I don't know. He's hot in the movie, so.
Yeah. Alana's like, he's just...
I don't know. Just, like, maybe that's the reason.
It was a really interesting book, and it was, like... It did feel like it was just a story, but the scary part of it is that it actually happened, and there's, like, receipts to back it up. But it's so depressing. It's so unsatisfying. It's just like they died for nothing, and then these people died. You know what I mean? It's just like
and was justice served through that? Like
it
doesn't feel like it when you go through that whole journey.
Yeah,
with
and
them.
it was just this one guy that was like, oh, these people paid me a wage. They have $10,000 and they're safe, and then these two fucking morons are like, let's kill them. Yeah, it's just like. How are you so sure? And they didn't even have the $10,000. Just leave them alone.
I know, and if they'd actually like done what Perry said and covered their faces, they wouldn't have had to kill them.
Yeah, if they just covered their faces and just left, and like the family would have been shaken up, but they'd be fine.
Yeah, and would sure, leave no witnesses, and you might get away with it, but you didn't, and you ended up getting a worse punishment than if you'd just been caught for robbing a house.
Yeah, like armed robbery. Like, you wouldn't get the death penalty for that.
But, you know, it's easy for us to say with 2020. Well, I mean, like, it is easy to say don't kill anyone, but, you know. But we can't really argue against their judgments with logic, because they weren't made with logic.
It's like,
and that's another thing that's sort of unsatisfying about them, I guess.
That's true. Yeah, it's not like they had like this big elaborate plan or anything. They were just like, we got money, we want it. They didn't have it. I'm just glad the women weren't raped.
Me too, yeah.
Like,
and you know, you think at least it was a quick death.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's just gross.
It's not a great solace, but it's...
What are we doing next week? I hate this. Let's do something fun. Are we doing something nice?
No.
Sorry, someone, Academy of Classy Style just followed me, and their bio says, if you're asking someone for money, wear a tie.
Okay. Thanks. Aww. Good to know. Or bring a shotgun.
Huh? That's just armed robbery. This one's just polite asking, like, anyone got any money? I got a tie on.
Maybe that's what Dick and Perry should have done.
No, like, anyone?
Would you like to invest in...
Me? Since I have a tie on? You see this tie, right? I'm all business.